In this video we are going to talk about the greatest serial killer in the United States history who was never found. You would not find a killer similar to him because he had a very special and mysterious attitude. A murderer who sent messages to people by communicating in very sophisticated codes, some of which remain undecoded up to this point. We're also going to discuss about one of these codes that was decoded after 50 years in 2020. The murderer is none other than the Zodiac. The murderer who walks among us after killing 37 people, and the only knowledge about who he is exists solely in a painting. Nobody has seen his real face. If knowing the story of the most dangerous man in history and the marvelous things he has done intrigues you, be sure to watch the video till the end. On December 20, 1968, Betty Jensen and David Faraday, two high school students, were together at midnight in a car on a very dark Lover's Lane street. After a while, this couple heard a person approaching, aiming a gun at them and yelling for them to leave the car. The boy is the first one to get out of the car. The moment he gets out, the Zodiac killer shoots him and kills him instantly. After that, the girl gets out of the car and tries to escape, but before she can do so, she gets shot by 5 bullets to the back and dies instantly. About 7 months after the first murder, in July 1969, another couple sitting near a golf field gets shot and killed around 12 a.m. Immediately after the incident, a man calls the police to report the murder, but during his report, he confesses that he was the one who killed them. Not only were they his victims, but the couple murdered 6 months ago was also his doing. However, this time one of the victims of the Zodiac survived. Unfortunately, they couldn't provide any information to the police regarding the face of the killer. Because it was dark, they were shocked and couldn't see him clearly at that moment. 6 months after these murders, 3 letters were sent to 3 newspapers. And in each of them, someone claims that he was the one killing those couples. And for the first time in these letters, we see the Zodiac codes. These codes are not related to any language but are created in a very exclusive coding system. They cannot be decoded and understood unless you have the specific code to decipher them. But the first code in the initial letter that the Zodiac mentions was easy to decode, and they understood it. They figured out it was written about a book on the topic of hunting. Not animals, but humans. In this letter, the Zodiac explains that hunting humans is fun for him because humans are the most dangerous animals of all to kill. It gives him a thrilling experience to hunt for humans. After that, the next reason that the Zodiac explains why he wants to kill people is that he is gathering slaves for himself, not in this world, but slaves for his afterlife. The Zodiac believed that he was gathering souls for himself, and after he is reborn in the afterlife in heaven, those souls will serve him for all eternity. Then he said he would never give his name to the police because they would ruin his afterlife and interrupt his slavery. What's more interesting is that the Zodiac in the letters tells them that if they don't publish the codes he gives them in the newspapers the next day, the murders will continue. Unfortunately, the Zodiac was a very smart man and he knew exactly how to play with the police. He wrote the first letter in an easy manner so they could get familiar with it, but his future letters included codes that even the smartest people in the world failed to decode. This remains true even now, 53 years later, as he published his letters to the general public. In the first letter he mentions, "This is the Zodiac speaking." And from there, he chose the name Zodiac for himself and informing the people about it. On September 27, 1969, the Zodiac committed his third murder, but this time in a different manner, and of course, more painful than before. Again, another couple in California had a picnic near the beach. Then a man approached them wearing a mask similar to the executioner's mask, with the Zodiac mark on his clothes. While aiming a pistol at them, he forced them to obey his will and then tied them up with a rope. The terrifying part is that he told them, "I am a prison escapee and I need your car and money to escape to Mexico." He made them feel comfortable as he tied them to the ground and he would pick up the car and escape. However, before they could notice, he drew a knife from his pocket and began continuously hitting them from behind. Then the murderer leaves a letter on the car for the police. The letter contained first the zodiac mark, second the dates of 3 murders, and lastly the words "by knife." In an inexplicable manner, the man survives and demonstrates to the police the appearance of the zodiac. He describes the assailant as a muscular man with brown hair and providing details about his height, eyes, and other characteristics. Afterward, on October 11, 1969, the next murder occurs. A man shoots a cab driver in the head from the back seat of the car. At that moment, on the other side of the street, a teenage girl with 2 of her friends witnessed the crime scene. They observed the man getting out of the car, cleaning it, and then leaving. I should also mention that before he leaves, he cuts a bloody piece of his victim's clothes and takes it with him. The teenage girl calls the police and reports that a white man aged between 20 and 30 with a height of 178 to 180 cm, a muscular build and wearing glasses was involved in the incident. Then the police make a mistake that causes one of the biggest crime cases in the United States to remain unsolved. A mistake that leads to the loss of more human lives. The police car with 2 officers inside was near the crime scene and they immediately proceeded to approach it. Unfortunately, in the midst of chaos, the police who received the information from the teenage girl misunderstood the data and incorrectly instructed the officers to look for a black man. Just imagine how terrifying the level of racism is in the United States, especially when it comes to how the police perceive black people, to the extent that such incident could occur. It's perplexing how the report changed to describe a black man. However, the police, despite passing the Zodiac killer with the exact characteristics mentioned in their initial report, a man aged 26 to 30, 1.8 meters tall, with a muscular body, brown hair and glasses, didn't recognize him because they were mistakenly looking for a black individual. Consequently, they passed by the actual suspect. And the Zodiac easily escapes. In the next letter he mentions, "You could catch me if you knew how to do your job correctly, but you're not." Unfortunately, he wasn't wrong about it. After that, a sketch of the murder would be drawn and becoming the most popular wanted poster in the United States. This remains the closest representation of the Zodiac's true identity that we have ever seen. 2 days later, a second letter is received. Inside it, there is a confession regarding the cab driver murder, accompanied by a picture of the bloody piece of the victim's clothes. But more terrifying than that is what is written inside the letter. He has stated, "Could you guess what the next amusing target would be? A school children." Then he continues, stating that the next victims could be a school bus. He describes his plan that I shoot its front tires, causing it to flip, and then I proceed to kill those small cats inside it one by one. And by cats he means the children. And after that he sends designs of specific bombs that could be used on the buses. The police then take serious precautions and dedicate a task force of elite agents to find the Zodiac killer. But unfortunately it doesn't yield any results. Until April 20, 1970. The Zodiac sends another letter that significantly captures people's attention. In this letter he states, "My name is," and then he writes his name in a coded manner. And this code has not been decoded up to this day. It's too short, and the shorter the codes, the more complex they are to solve. It may be meant to never be solved because there aren't enough signs in it to understand how this code is actually made. Zodiac was sending letters until 1971 and then stopped. However, he sent his last letter in the 1974, in which he claimed to have killed 37 people. Additionally, he expressed his opinion about the movie The Exorcist, referring to it as an interesting comedy. Exorcist was essentially the top horror movie of that time, and it seems like Zodiac wanted to convey that he was a person who enjoyed watching movies and wanted to showcase a certain coolness about himself. Zodiac indeed played with the police throughout all those years. For instance, there was a time when he called to report his own murder, and he did this through the phone station near the police department. Or in the letters he sent, Zodiac left his DNA on the stamps as he licked them. However, investigators later entertained the possibility that he might have given those stamps to someone else to lick, introducing doubt about whether the DNA on the stamps was truly his own. In conclusion, he manipulated the police department extensively. However, the story becomes even more peculiar. One person calls the police and expresses a willingness to talk to a television show presenter via call in front of the public, allowing everyone to hear his voice. Police and the TV show presenter accept the offer, and during the show, Zodiac calls in. I let you see it for yourself.
This morning, the people of San Francisco heard a man who claimed to be Zodiac talking on the air.
I have headache.
All right. How long have you had those headaches, Sam? In a long time?
Why did you want to talk to Mr. Belli, Sam?
I don't want to be hurt.
In this TV show, Zodiac says, "I'm scared and don't want to get executed." Immediately after that, Zodiac sends another letter to the police. And this is the letter that took 51 years to be solved. This letter during its time proved elusive to discovery by some of the smartest people on the planet. However, it eventually passed through a professional team consisting of a software engineer, a computer programmer, and a mathematician, who successfully decoded it 51 years later. They create a dedicated software designed to decode Zodiac ciphers, and it takes 14 years for this team of 3 members to successfully solve the code. Each of them had a role in developing this program, and most of the time they would reach a result, only to later discover that the result they have achieved was not useful. Until they find 2 words that draw their attention. One was gas chamber, the place where criminals are executed, and the other was hope you are trying to catch me. Then they use these words, and after a long procedure they can track them within the letter text. Through this process they discover the pattern that these words convey meaning. After 51 years, this is what was written inside the letter. I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Now I have enough slaves to work for me where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life will be an easy one in paradise after death. Unfortunately, even after 51 years, this letter provides no new information for the police and no signs to help catch the Zodiac killer. Exactly 2 years ago from now, something interesting happened. A group calling themselves Case Breakers claimed that they discovered who the Zodiac killer was.
A new theory is again bringing attention to the decades-old cold case of the Zodiac.
This group included people who had worked in the FBI, CIA, and the US military. They claimed that the Zodiac killer was a person by the name of Gary Post, who happened to die in 2018. He had a background in the military and later worked as a house painter. The Case Breakers group presented a substantial amount of evidence to support their claim that he was the Zodiac killer. Firstly, he allegedly confessed to some of his friends that he was the Zodiac killer. Additionally, they noted that his face, hair color, and height matched the wanted poster. While there were other suspects with similar details, the group concluded that Gary Post was their main suspect. The FBI rejected these pieces of information and details, stating that the case would remain open. While many people accepted that Gary Post was the Zodiac killer, others rejected the idea and deeming it absurd. What is your opinion? Is it possible that the Zodiac killer has been discovered, or he is outside laughing to the people and police? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to hear more on crime cases like this, let me know in the comment section. Also check my other unsolved episodes here and here. Until the next video, see ya.